And sometimes I used to go dig around and take care of it a little more closely. Even I had asked others to take care of this particular plant, and they also assisted me. And this time I was really happy because this fruit was bigger compared to the last two fruits that I got, and they were kind of happy, but not really satisfied. I knew the best was yet to come. It was not happening. The weight that I wanted, the size, the figure, the taste, everything that I wanted never happened. So thinking, I went for planting the fourth seed. And this time around, before I planted this seed, I studied a bit about the seed itself, what it needs, where it can grow, what are the elements it requires to grow, and so on. And also, secondly, I went to study that plot of land where the seed is going to be planted. I made a study. I called in an expert to test the soil, to ascertain whether that soil is suitable for this particular mango seed. So I did a kind of groundwork, both on the seed and also on the plot of land that was going to be, that I was going to use for planting the seed. So having satisfied with these two things first, I went ahead planting the seed. Now, almost on a daily basis, in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, I would go to this place, give water if needed, manure whenever it was required, and watch this sprouting, becoming plant, becoming tree, and also kind of becoming, or giving fruit. And I was closely observing whatever that particular plant needed, and whenever it required or it needed, I was giving. And to my surprise, my dear friends, I saw the fruit that this particular tree produced weighed more than 600 grams. And, even looking at it, my mouth started watering, and all of us enjoyed. All of us started speaking about that mango. All of us, started describing the mango and, learned the process. And, it was a happy ending at the end of the day. So, which seed or which mango that you would like to be? First one, second one, third one, fourth one. Any idea? Friends, I hope you are going to be you want to be the fourth, mango. Is it not? See, if you are going to be a Pauline vocation, be sure, is not to do ordinary things. Pauline vocation is not to be just somewhere around there. It is not to just, write as a suffix SSP or PDDM or FSP at the end of the day. But it is for a particular specific mission. And to achieve this mission, You and I have to be the best. Without that, we can't be. It does not matter which congregation you belong to, whether you are SSP or FSP or PDDM, it does not matter. But what matters is that we have really become a person after the heart of Saint Paul himself. That is the idea. You know, when Jesus wanted to conquer Paul, you know that we read in the Acts of the Apostles that Paul, then Saul, had a mission. And the mission was to annihilate, to remove, to kill anyone who professed the way, that is Jesus. According to Saul, whatever Jesus did, whatever Jesus spoke, whatever Jesus performed was against God and not the will of God. And therefore, anyone who professed the name of Jesus had to be dealt with. So Jesus perhaps saw the intensity of his commitment in Paul. And so he calls him and tells him, you know what, Saul, I need you. I need you. And when he says, I need you, Paul asks, who are you? Who are you, Lord? So, later on, I will come back to this. Later on, Paul decides that if you, Jesus, have conquered me, I will conquer you. If you have made me your own, I will make you my own. This is the kind of orientation that we should have. And Paul will go on to tell us that, it is no longer I who live, but Christ who lives in me. There was a total identification with Jesus Christ. One becoming the other. The same way, there was a young man who wanted to do something different. He was called to do something different. He saw what was happening in the society, especially the harm that was being done by the media in the society. So he had in his mind that he would conquer media with and use the media for the spread of the gospel. So this is the background in which you and I have to understand our divine vocation. Jesus, first and foremost, conquering Paul, Paul in turn conquering Jesus, and then being conquered by Jesus, conquers him by conquering the means that were given to him and making those means to spread the mission of Jesus. So we too are, in the same way, dear sisters and brothers, called to conquer Jesus, our divine master. In our lives, the way we live our Pauline vocation, the way we live our Pauline life, you should always remember that we are called to live and give Jesus our divine master. And that can happen only when we conquer Jesus in our lives. Okay? So, having said that, and having realized the fact that you and I are called to live Jesus, our divine master, remember you and I, or our human soul, is a God seed. God has put in us his own very image and likeness. We are not sharing somebody's image. We are not, sharing the image and likeness of who is who in the society. Though we would like to be like, Karishma Kapoor or Hrithik Roshan or, Sachin Tendulkar, or these days Mahendra Singh Dhoni. I mean, all these may be our plan and desire. We want to be someone who is really known in today's society. Therefore, we want to imitate their way of life. We want to use those items that they use. We want to dress the way they dress. We want to, let's say, learn to walk the way they walk, talk the way they talk, and so on. If we are so much after imitating these heroes and heroines in the society today, how much more as people called to be Paulines should be imitating our founder, our Saint Paul, and above all, Jesus Master, the way, the truth, and the life. So we need to let go all these so-called models and examples out there and become followers of Jesus, our divine master. And so always keep this in your mind, that you are God seeds in the society. Like Mary, our mother, will sing, "My soul magnifies the Lord." She does not say, "I magnify the Lord." Rather, she says, "My soul magnifies the Lord." In other words, the God seed in me is magnifying the Lord God. In the same way, you and I have to realize that we are God seeds here on earth. And so, God is that which is behind everything, involved in everything, and contains everything. Always keep this in mind. God is that which is behind everything. Whoever I am, whatever kind of person that I want to be, whatever that I am called to be, remember, God is behind me, searching for me. He's like a hound of heaven, always running after me, always searching for me, always looking for me, calling me, "My son, my daughter, come to me. I am yours and you are mine." So we are here to realize, through fully incarnating, Jesus incarnated through Mary, God becoming man. So we are here incarnating as a human being all that is God. Remember, our mission is that, nothing else. We are called to incarnate God. We are called to incarnate God. You may say, okay, we have the perpetual adoration as pious disciples, liturgical apostolate, or daughters of Saint Paul would say that we are going out with books and spreading the good literature through the books and through publications and so on and so forth. At the end of the day, this particular job is done with a view to incarnate Jesus, the divine master, in and through our lives. In other words, we are, brothers and sisters, called to make God a reality. We are called to make God a reality. God is not a concept. God is not something or someone far from us. God is not in heavens. God is not someone who will meet at the end of our lives. No, but God has to become a reality here and now. To be who we are and to have all that is within us and to fully express our divine heritage, that is our purpose for living and the destination of our journey. So to be who we are, whoever you are, whoever you are called to be, you may be intelligent, you may be having artistic taste, you may be actor, you may be good at studies, you may be good at dancing, singing, performing, sports, whatever. Whoever you are, to have all that is within you and to fully express your divine heritage. Remember, dear sisters and brothers, we come from God. We have a divine heritage. We are not products of some human beings or some society. We are God's own. And to realize that is our purpose for living and the destination of our journey. We need to, the final arrival point, the destination is God. And that will happen when we are ready to live this God seed in us. Whenever you are trying to be something other than who you are, in a condition other than how you are, somewhere other than here, and at some time other than now, you are going to be out of your body. Listen to this. Whenever you are trying to be something other than who you are, sometimes you may be praying, Lord, make me a little taller, a little fatter maybe, or a little thinner maybe, or I want to sing a little better, I want to dance a little better, I may be a little more beautiful that I may be attracted to many people, or I want to impress my mistress or master, I want to get a good result and therefore I will behave, or I will behave this way, or I will behave that way. So when you are trying to be someone who you are not, in a condition other than how you are, it's very important how you are. Sometimes, some of you have powder and sand and, decorations all over your faces because you're appearing for the first time on the screen, that broad smile coming from Asmita, you see, people are kind of impressed. Yes, this boy, this girl is smart looking, so beautiful and whatever, So, if we are trying to be different from how we are, somewhere other than here, you can't be living for the future. Your novice mistress or your, let us say, novice master will tell you, you have to become like Alberione or Mother Scholastica, other name I don't know. Anyway, all those, but are we really called to be Alberione, or are we really called to be Scholastica or, Polsiaska like Polsi? No. Are we that? No. You are called to be you. Being you, who you are, you need to find the God element in you, and with that finding that you have made in your life, you are going to be the disciples of Christ who will communicate to others Jesus, the divine master, way, truth, and life. So, somewhere other than here and at some time other than now, you are going to be out of your body. So, if you're out of your body, khatam ho gaya na? Finish. Somebody will put you in a basket and sing some songs and put them on shoulder and make a big procession, right? That's what we see. But that is not the purpose. The purpose is to realize what we are called to be. So, ever remember that. And so, before I enter into the topic proper, just a reminder, sisters and brothers, our vocation is a Eucharistic call or a Eucharistic vocation. If we are not in love with the Eucharist, let's humbly accept we are not Pauline's. Because it is the Eucharist that conceived us first. It is the Eucharist that conceived us first, bore us for some time, and made it known to that little boy. When? You know it now? The date, I suppose. You know. Okay? On that day, it was made known to him, and he kind of kept in an incubator for how many years? Another 14 years before he realized this mission. So, remember, we have come from the womb of the Eucharist. We are conceived there. So, Pauline vocation begins with the Eucharist, developed through the Eucharist, and preserved by Eucharist. Remember this always. If you are going to be a Pauline, okay, you are novices in end of this year or end of the next year, when you finish your novitiate, you will be saying chastity, poverty, obedience, that thing. Don't worry about all those. That is not our purpose. We are not here to do any of those things. We are here to live our Pauline vocation. Today in the gospel you heard, did you hear? Which is the greatest commandment? Love your God and love your neighbor as yourselves. When you love your God and when you love your neighbor, St. Augustine would say, do you record anything else? Are you really then concerned about your chastity, poverty, and blah, blah, blah? Don't worry. Your mistress will say so many things. Don't worry about any of those kind of things. But, mind you, we are of the Eucharist. So, a Pauline is not just called to attend the Mass. These days we have no Mass, or most of us do not have Mass, right? Some of us see online, some of us, all kinds of gimmick. Okay. But remember, we are called to become the Eucharist. So, dear friends, this is a very tall vocation. We do not realize that. That's the tragedy of our life. We do not realize that. We are, we think, oh, okay, we are running few book centers. We have a few liturgical centers. We have a few studio here and there. We produce a few cards and few whatever. And then we, we think, we have done well. Let's clap each other. No, we are not meant for that. Okay? Now, this is a very tall order. And Pauline formation should gear us toward that. It's not a joke. We are not studying philosophy and theology and chastity, poverty, but we are learning to live in the school of Jesus, the Divine Master, and share Him with others. So, we need, before we proceed, 5 things, as we hear from John Powell. We need 5 essential steps into the fullness of life. According to him, these are those 5 steps. I will not be explaining them, but you can later read the book or ask your in charges to explain to you. Okay, the first step that he says is 5 essential steps into the fullness of life. 1, to accept oneself. We already spoke about that. I need to know who I am, and I need to accept myself as I am. 2, to be oneself or to be myself. Don't try to be somebody else. Don't try to be your mistress. Don't try to be a provincial. Okay? Please. Don't try to be Alberiana. Don't try to be Scholastica. And the other one is, what is her name? Okay. Don't try to be all that. Try to be you. And the real you. Okay? Be the real you. Thirdly, to forget oneself in loving. Okay? To forget oneself in love. Give yourself in love to your brothers and sisters, to God. And fourthly, to believe. To believe that you are a child of God. To believe that you are a Pauline. To believe that you are a disciple of Christ. To believe that you have a mission to accomplish. To believe that you are a God seed here on earth. And finally, to belong. To belong. Belong to whom? Belong to God, first and foremost. And by that belonging, you also need to belong to our brothers and sisters here on earth. So that is kind of, let's say, introduction or invitation that I would suggest to you before I jump into anything else. So, are you okay with me? Are you clear? Any doubts or questions so far? Anybody's asking something? Can you hear me?
Yes, Father.
Okay. Shall we proceed?
Yes, Father.
Okay. Now, yes. I have a senior here, so I can't hear.
Father,
Yes.
you said no to imitate anybody now. So if we want to become saint, we have to imitate saint or leader.
If you have to become saint, who you have to imitate?
We have to imitate somebody, then only we have to become like
By
that.
imitating somebody, you will never become a saint.
So like their lifestyle, how to be prayerful and all. They will choose.
Okay. I get what you are trying to tell me. Understand examples. Study, learn how they reached, where they reached. Okay. But you are to live Jesus Christ. You have to find your own way, your own, let us say, kind of life. You need to commit yourself to live as per the invitation or the call that Jesus has given you. Only by then or by doing that, you are going to be a disciple acceptable to him. Okay? More of that you can ask your mistress. She will clarify. Okay. All right. Now, what is now we said we are talking about Pauline formation for Pauline mission, right? That okay? Okay. Now, I'm trying to get something. I'm not able to get there. Okay. So, give me 1 second, please. So we said Pauline, let us say formation for Pauline mission, right? Okay. So what is the ultimate reality, or what is that we are trying to reach through our formation?
Hello, Father.
Okay.
Hello, Father.
Can you see? Can you see something on the screen?
Yes, Father. Yes, Father.
Okay. Okay. We said Pauline formation for life and mission. So I was asking you, what is that? No, that was introduction. What is that ultimate thing that we want to arrive at by our formation? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So the ultimate thing that we want to realize or accomplish in our formation, or Pauline formation is, or Pauline formation is geared to until Christ is formed in us. Okay, Galatians 4:19, as Saint Paul would tell us, we want Jesus is formed in us. That is the formation that we should have or aim at in our life. Until Christ is formed in me, I'm not complete. I'm not a true Pauline, because that's exactly what our founder would aim at for each one of us. That Christ, that is Jesus, the divine master, way, truth, and life, should be formed in me in his totality, in his completeness. Not a particular, let us say, attribute of Jesus, not a particular characteristic of Jesus, not a particular behavior of Jesus, but rather it should be complete Jesus forming in me. In other words, I am becoming another Jesus. That is the formation that I am aiming at. in my life. So if, let us say, Jesus becoming a total reality, a living reality in my life is the ultimate, that's a reason of my formation, then what can be the mission? What should be the mission? The mission should be that I am able to give that Jesus which is realized in me. You know, I live Christ, that is Jesus, the way, the truth, and the life. I live Him completely in my life, and I give Him to my brothers and sisters. So that is the mission that is entrusted to me. So, you know, our founder, Alberione, felt gripped. You know, he was really caught by Jesus the Master in the Eucharist. I already told you that we were initially conceived in the Eucharist. By kneeling before the Eucharist, Alberione is informed, asked, can you be my agent, my disciple, to do something for this particular century that is enslaved by so many negative realities and are going away from me? Can you be that disciple of mine? Can you be my son? Can you be my apostle who can take up this particular specific responsibility and go forth bearing my name, bringing my message to the people and bring them back? So Alberione felt gripped, seized, and obligated. He felt within himself, yes, I am called. And he is thinking, or he is responding to God saying, you have conquered me like you conquered Saul. Everything only and always in you and for you. So completely he was able to surrender himself. He knew that he had nothing with him, no finance, no influence, not even enough physical health, nothing. He was just a boy, 16-year-old boy, when this particular mission was assigned to him. But he relied on the strength of God. You know, the beautiful thing that you and I need to realize here is, he, that is founder, comes away from the insufficiency of his own self and depends on the sufficiency of the one who called him. Remember, sisters and brothers, this always, Alberione dared to leave his insufficiency and became part of the sufficiency of God. And so he was able to accomplish what he was called to accomplish. So in our life, this is what we are to be. You know, just a few minutes ago, somebody asked me, if we do not imitate the saints or some people, how can we be saints and so on. But remember this. See, William J. Thoms told us, be careful how you live. You may be the only Bible some person ever reads. In other words, if we charter our life, if we try to imitate some human beings, we may reach where that person may have reached, we don't know. But be sure, if we had imitated Jesus and adhered to his commandments in their totality, definitely we would arrive where we would be called to arrive. So this particular, let's say, aspect, you should always remember. Remember, you may be the only Bible some people may read. You know, people may not have even a copy of the Bible. But the way you and I live our Pauline life, if we really understand the seriousness, the intensity, the purpose of our Pauline life, we are called to become the Bible. Okay? And you may be the only Jesus some people see. You know, we may be the only people. We may be the only Jesus some people may see. They may not have any other opportunity. They may not even come. They may not even become aware of who Jesus is. But the way we live our life, the way we communicate His message, the way we, spread His love and His life, people will recognize here is a person who is literally different. And that difference has to be, caught by others. This is what Saint Francis of Assisi would tell us. It is no use walking anywhere to preach unless our walking is our preaching. Dear friends, I think this is the key. This is exactly what our founder also would teach us. He would teach us, cursed be that apostolate, cursed be that activity, if we do not do the right thing. If we do not derive strength from the Eucharist, if we do not derive strength from Jesus, our divine master, no matter what we do and how we do, it does not serve any purpose. It is no use walking anywhere to preach unless our walking is our preaching. So, our walking is our preaching. In other words, initially I said, we cannot afford to be somebody else. I have to be real. I am called to be real. And so, in my effort to be real, I need to be in touch with God, with Jesus, our divine master. So, always keep this in your mind. If you want to be like that person or like this person and then walk like that person, we do not know. We do not know what was that person's vocation. What was that person called to accomplish? But as Paulines, we have a specific mission to accomplish. We cannot claim that I have become that, or I have become this, or I have become the other, unless I become a Pauline. That is my vocation. My vocation is to become a Pauline who will live Jesus, Master, the way, the truth, and the life. So, this has to be understood, my dear sisters. And, we are people trying to convince others. God is, especially these days of COVID, some of us are asked, if God is alive, then why COVID? Why is not helping the people to find a vaccine? Why are we suffering? Why are we locked in? And so on and so forth. Sometimes it is highly likely that we also will join their kind of doubts and begin to question God. Are you there, God? Are you really existing? And so on and so forth. But then our founder says, we will enlighten others to the degree that we ourselves are enlightened. So our formation should help us to enlighten ourselves with God. It is going to be a God realization in my life. If I am not realizing God, if I am not enlightened by God and His presence in my life, then how am I going to share Him with others? So as St. Paul says, if you do not have, you cannot give. So first and foremost, I should be enlightened. I should experience the presence of God. I need to have God with me. I need to be led by God in order for me to share Him with others. Alberione says, think of the multitudes that are waiting for the gospel of those to whom we are debtors. So, people are waiting. People are waiting. In my own personal life, when I was in Africa, I have literally seen the keen interest, the intensity of desire to know more and more about Jesus. And they would also tell us the same thing. There is nobody to tell us, nobody to guide us, nobody to enlighten us, and so on. So it is, my dear sisters and brothers, our duty, our responsibility in the church today to really become agents of God who are enlightened by Him and are able to share Him with others. So we are called by the love of Christ to bear witness to the gospel. When we live the gospel in our lives, we do not need any other examples. We become examples to others. One author, Jason, I'm not getting the full name, in his book, imitation is limitation. If we try to imitate somebody, it becomes a limitation because we are sacrificing our own selves and trying to be somebody else, and in the process, we may miss the target. So always remember that we are called by the love of Christ to bear witness to the gospel and to serve church. Paulians are consecrated persons who proclaim to humankind the fullness of Christ's mystery with the means of social communication. So we are called by the love of God. And by that we are consecrated. We are consecrated by the love of God. Okay? To share, to give to humankind the fullness of Christ's mystery, using whatever means that He has given us. So, in carrying out our mission as communicators, we are aware that we are continuing the same mission of Jesus Christ, the Divine Master. We do not have a separate mission other than that of Christ. We do not have a separate gospel other than that of Jesus Christ. We do not have a particular or a different message than the message of Jesus Christ. Unlike other congregations, you will realize our founder insisted our spirituality depends or is in Jesus, the Divine Master, the way, the truth, and the life. In other words, He wanted us to give the total Christ. Not a characteristics, not an attribute, not a particular, let us say, behavior or expression of Jesus. We are called to give Jesus completely. And that's what makes us different in the church. Whether we are doing it or not, that's a different story altogether. I don't want to go into that, but I'm just stressing that our mission is that, our vocation is that we are called to give the total Christ. And so, mission is not an extrinsic activity. This is not an external activity. Okay? It is not an external activity. It is something that touches a person's innermost self. My vocation and my apostolate comes from the God seed that is inherent in me. That is what I should realize. My mission is not an extrinsic activity, that is an external activity, but rather it is an innermost activity, meaning an activity that comes from within myself, where I come in contact with God who is dwelling there. To evangelize supposes already being evangelized. Unless I am evangelized, unless I am enlightened, unless I am gripped by Jesus, the Divine Master, I cannot evangelize. Why our mission is not apparently successful? Because we are doing some work. We have, book centers or liturgical centers where people come and we price them such a way that whatever the way we do, nobody's impressed. And at the end of the day, they label us by maybe business people or whatever tag that they will give us. Why? Because we have not caught this. We have not communicated, or at least even if we have caught this, we have failed to communicate this particular idea to others who we are called to serve. So, being and acting must proceed in a harmonious crisscrossing, doing first doing must first of all be a becoming. It is not just for the sake of doing something that I do, but I am doing to realize Jesus in my life and also in the lives of the other. And therefore, the scope of Pauline vocation formation is on your screen, becoming Christ-like. I am called to become Christ-like. No other example. We don't require any other example. What other example do we require? We don't need anything. I am called to become Christ. As Paul became another Christ who said, it is no longer I who live, but Christ who lives in me. And he goes on to say that be imitators of me as I am of Christ. In other words, they became a symphony. They became just one single note, a single music. Okay? And so they really enjoyed whatever they wanted to enjoy. Secondly, harmonious development of mind, will, and heart. We need to grow integrally. Okay? We cannot just afford to take care of one attribute of our life or concentrate on particular area of our life and then leave out the other. That is not the totality of the call that we have received. As we are called to proclaim Jesus Master, the way, the truth, and the life, we have to develop our own mind, will, and heart accordingly, keeping alive that equilibrium and showing that we are whole. Not H-O-L-E, but W-H-O-L-E. We are called to become that whole. When we become holistic in all the areas of our life, we become a synchronized unit and we realize God in our lives. To do for what? To do maximum good. Our Pauline formation is to do maximum good. That's why our founder would tell us, when you work for 4 people. When you pray for 4 people. It's for him always. The multiples of so many. I am not just called to work for myself. I am not just called to bring, realize my salvation. But I am called to also realize the salvation of other souls. And that also, our founder would say, the purpose of apostolate, the only purpose of apostolate is to bring souls to Christ. So every activity that we do, whatever kind of apostolate that we do, whichever way we do them, the purpose is to bring souls to Christ. And fourthly, maximum wealth in the apostolate. Giving totally, completely. No, investing everything that I have, giving everything in its or their totality to realize the apostolate. So, dear friends, it is not going to be, as I told you right at the beginning, Pauline vocation, Pauline mission is not an easy task. Those of us who really live this will realize this. Now, it is not, a simple thing, but it is something that is really demanding of us, and really, we need to attune ourselves to Jesus so that we will become what we are called to become. Now, mission, as you know, is the word. Mission itself comes from the Latin word missio, which means to send. We are sent, and the word apostle means, again, one who is sent. Remember here, one thing that you need to pick up here is, who was the first apostle? Now, there is a chain that is happening. First, God, having realized that his people have gone away from him, sends his only son with a mandate of getting them back, regaining them back. That was the mission that was entrusted to Jesus. So, Father sending his son, Jesus Christ, and Jesus in turn sends us his Holy Spirit, by whom we are sanctified, by whom we are educated, by whom we are made aware of all that Jesus has taught us. And it is the Holy Spirit that is sending us to bring forth the message of Christ. So remember, we are not called and sent by our vocation promoters or a provincial or whoever that be. It is not so. Remember, we are sent by God the Father. God sending his Son, Son sending his Spirit, and Spirit sending each one of us. For what? For the mission of Christ, or to accomplish the message of Christ. So, and I already told you that we do not have a different message to give. We do not have a different apostolate, or we do not have a different mission to accomplish. We have exactly the same message that Jesus proclaimed. No other. We do not have any other gospel. Saint Paul will tell us, I do not have any other gospel to share with you. I have only the gospel of Christ to share with you. Okay? So our message is that, Jesus, the divine master, way, truth, and life. We do not have any other mission in our lives. Blessed James Alberione reminds us, we are not Paulines unless our hearts and minds are big enough to embrace all people. That is a very candid, very straightforward, very challenging message for all of us. We are not Paulines unless our hearts and minds are big enough to embrace all people. We are not people meant for few people out there. We are not Paulines unless we have the Spirit of Jesus Christ who came to give us his life for everyone. So, it's not we are not people who are called to do certain things. We work from, let's say, 9 to 5 and then we mind our business. No. Or we are catering to a few people out there. We are not people who are called to look for our conveniences and our comforts, because I know, being in Bombay, I can cater to the rich and the influential and the educated people. But if I am out there in Arunachal Pradesh or Jorhat or places like that, I know that it's not anything promising. As if I have nothing to do there. People are not receptive, I think. things like that. So, but remember, unless we include every one of God's children, we are not yet Paulines. The day we include everyone in our apostolate, in our mission, that is the mission and apostolate of Jesus Christ himself, we are not Paulines. So these are the things, dear sisters and brothers, that you need to catch. And when is the missionary mandate over? When it has been fulfilled and the mandate of Christ has been completed. That is the day when our apostolate is complete. Because our founder is very clear, using the means of the day, reading the signs of the times, you need to do the apostolate. We are not people who are called to do the way it was done in 1914. We are not people who are called to do our apostolate the way we did in 1950. We are not even people called to do the apostolate the way we did in 2000. We have to find the suitable means for today, 2020, and how we can make our apostolate or the mission of Christ known to the people. That's exactly what should happen in our lives. So Pauline apostolate is done when one dedicates one's energy, force to give God to the people and give people to God. So this is, as I said in the beginning itself, our formation is to live God and our mission is to give God. That's the only thing that we need to catch. That I am here to live Jesus, the divine master, and I am here to give Jesus, the master, to others. And so I become an extension of Jesus here on earth in my lifetime. So to enter in the spirit of Jesus and do all that he did is apostolate. So we haven't, as I said already, or as you know already, we have no other apostolate. We need to enter in the spirit of Jesus and do all that he did, and that is the full stop. So by our apostolate, we are sanctified, elevate people to God, diffuse the truth, and realize the glory of God. So if we do our apostolate the way our founder has envisaged it, remember, we are going to heaven. We are going to the Father. Because if we focus and completely give ourselves to do the apostolate that our founder has given us, or God has mandated him to do, be sure we shall become part of the way, truth, and life. So this is what we must do a lot. We must do them fast, and we should do things that look to be impossible. And in today's world, especially in 2020, when we are living, we know how difficult it is. We are people misunderstood, we are persecuted, we are, so many things are happening. There is no more justice in the society. There is no more equality in the society. There is lots of fake news going around. To protect one religion, the other religion is suppressed. All these and more are happening. So what is our response? What is the meaning in this situation of our life? Are you all with me? Hello?
Yes, Father.
Yes,
Okay.
Father.
All right. Okay. So, then what are the objectives of Pauline formation? Formation is a process or journey that has no end. At no point of our time during our life, we can say enough is enough. We are formed enough. Now we do not require any more, let us say, formation, because I have accomplished anything. Some of us think with our perpetual profession, our formation is over, and then we are okay. That's some of us think. But remember, from the day we enter the congregation to the day we are packed off, we are in formation. formation of Jesus in my life. Jesus, the divine master in my life. So, Pauline formation has to be unified whole, the aim being to arrive at a life-giving composite. I need to, the composite means composition, or the, many things coming together as one single unit. So, I need to become a life-giving composite in my life. The aim of formation is to bring to life that picture of the human being which is considered ideal from the Christian point of view, one which sees life as God's greatest gift. So, that is the idea. No, I need to have all the aspects of my life formed. It is not, as I said in the beginning itself, it is not just one aspect that I take care. I need to take care of my human formation, by having a very serious work on myself. What am I? Who am I? Where am I? All those kind of things. Then continual verification, how am I performing? Am I in tune with whatever has been learned so far? Am I in line with the teachings of the founder? Am I really understanding the spirituality and the guidance of the congregation? Am I really imbibing the spirit of St. Paul? Am I really with our founder? And so on. A process of changing for the better, assimilating the experiences that occur from the carrying out of the determined activities, study, apostolic, prayer life, fellowship with conference, etc., and from doing to being. So all these aspects or points will help me to form myself. Sometimes it is a danger that, I take care of my so-called spiritual life, but I forget my human side of the story. And so I'm not able to understand who I am. I grow up with my own, so-called confusions, depression, disappointments, and injuries and woundedness and everything that I have gone through. I cover all these in my life, and then I cling on to the rosary, spiritual practices and so on. They will then become merely pious practices that will hide me from the reality of life. And that's why some of us are not really happy in our lives. We have problems, Provincials and superiors are running around finding solution to some of the problems that we have. And some of them revolt, some of them, behave the way they behave. And so we don't know what is really the solution to any of those things. So our founder would tell us human maturity that attests stability of character, psycho-affective balance, ability to take good decisions, sound judgment, self-control, sincerity, justice, fidelity to one's promises, discretion, discipline, etc. So these are the aspects that we need to take care of in our human formation. Then, Christian formation. I need to be formed as a Christian. Christian would mean that a follower of Christ, where, I become a vessel of Christ or a home of Christ where he can dwell. That is Christian formation. Christian formation is not learning few things. It is not learning theology and spirituality and other things. But Christian formation is realizing or becoming a home, a dwelling place for Jesus, the divine master. He is a reality in my life. That's exactly what should happen in our Christian formation. Christian formation means developing an ever deeper relation with Jesus, the master, becoming truly his disciple. Religious formation. It is an experience of being called, consecrated, and sent forth by God for a special mission. I am called. As novices as you are, remember, friends, novitiate is not a time that you will check and find out whether you will discern, oh, I have a vocation or not. If you're wasting your time, thinking or trying to find out whether you have a vocation, I would say you have simply wasted your novitiate. Novitiate should be a time to deepen your vocation. By the very fact that you have entered into the novitiate, you have realized for sure that you have a Pauline vocation. And when you do not have any doubt in your mind toward that, what you will do in the novitiate is you will deepen that experience in your life and try to grow in that call God has or Jesus has given to you. So the aim of the whole process of Pauline formation is to form apostles, that you will become you will become an ambassador for Christ. You will become a Christ bearer in your life. So religious formation, or I would simply suggest you, religious formation is not simply learning few things. We have a few books from where some classes are taken, or we study certain spirituality, certain that, certain this. No, rather our religious formation should help us to realize Jesus in my life. Then, apostolic formation. The full development of the human being, of the Christian and of the religious, is not an end in itself. It is in view of the apostolate. We already said we are called to become apostles. We are given the mandate, or we are given the vocation to do the apostolate. Always keep that in mind. We are given this call. Pauline call is to do the Pauline apostolate. It's not for anything else. It is not for anything else. I am called to do Pauline apostolate. That is making known Jesus Christ, the way, the truth, and the life, using the means available to us, social media or whatever that is there. That is the purpose. No other purpose. I'm not called to be a nurse. I'm not called to be, a social worker. I'm not called to be any of these. But I am called to be a Pauline, to do Pauline apostolate specific. So for that, of course, we need an integrity in life. We need an overall, that is a growth. We are not called to be people, doing something or having grown in one area of our life. I am excellent in my studies. I score A+, but I am 0 in my prayer life. I am excellent in doing certain works, but I am a failure in my community life. I am excellent in advising others how to overcome certain problems, but I myself into lots of problems. I nurture my hurt feelings, my rejection experiences, my wounds, my injuries. I, grow with them. And I do not understand why these things are happening to me. But whereas I am able to advise others how to overcome some of these things. So remember always, unless the state of being total and complete is not realized in my life, that completeness is not part of me, then I'm not able to do the Pauline apostolate. If I am a broken self, if I am dealing every day with the problems one after another, maybe physical, maybe psychological, maybe spiritual, maybe human, maybe whatever, does not matter. And the moment I realize I have a problem, I need to overcome them positively and dedicate or rededicate myself to do the apostolate. The state of being complete and entire, having everything that is needed. So, the state of being complete, that is what integrality would call us for. The Pauline family aspires to live integrally the gospel of Jesus Christ, way, truth, and life in the spirit of St. Paul. So, as I said, we do not have any other interest. We do not have any other mandate. We do not have any other responsibility. We do not have anything else except to live the gospel of Jesus Christ, way, truth, life in the spirit of St. Paul, under the gaze of the queen of the apostles. So this is what, my dear sisters and brothers, that you need to keep alive always in your formation. And remember, your formation is not ending with your final profession. It is lifelong, and we need to really make us available to the total love of God for the specific apostolate God has mandated us with. And when we integrate, we know we are called to holiness. Every Christian, every follower of Christ is called to be holy. From brokenness to wholeness, illness to wellness, woundedness to being healed, and being good to someone better. So we do not have, a time in our lives we can say enough is enough. But we are called to be a little more every day. That's what, the person who we celebrate on the 27th of July would tell us, Majorino Begalongo. So formation to be an apostle, Paulines need a great sense of inner freedom to carry out. So when we are caught up with our own problems, our own difficulties, our own so-called comforts and all other conveniences, remember, we are not going to do our apostolate. Okay? Then, formation of the mind, which involves the study of religion, apostolate, and the study of secular sciences. Founder would always insist that we should be educated people, but whether we are doing that is for each one of us to ask and answer. We have to be, if we have to do the publishing apostolate or any apostolate, any Pauline apostolate, any form of Pauline apostolate, we have to be educated. We have to be understanding, reading the science of the time, and then only we will be able to do the apostolate God has given to us. Then, formation of the will consists in the training, spiritual activity by means of combating bad inclinations and by practicing virtue, battle with the predominant passion, giving primacy of the theological virtues, etc. So, we need to really overcome who we are. Our ego self, our pride, our selfishness, our inclinations, all these things we need to overcome in order for us to surrender to the will and plan of God and live for Him to do the apostolate. Then, formation of the heart, aligning ourselves, becoming one with Jesus. We are able to do what He has taught us, and we are able to foster the beauty of the truth. Spiritual formation. Spiritual experience is an experience of God. Most often we say, when I sit down to pray, I'm distracted, I am seeing a movie, and blah, blah, all those kind of stuff. So spiritual formation would mean living integrally the gospel, to live in Jesus' master way, truth, life, and to live as Saint Paul lived, and live integrally the gospel of Jesus' master way, truth, life, as interpreted by Paul under the gaze of Mary, queen of the apostles. And Pauline must establish themselves in Jesus' master way, truth, and life. So this is our spirituality that we are called to live. Living integrally, our whole self, whoever we are, as much as we are, we need to live the gospel, and that gospel is lived in Jesus' master way, truth, and life. How? The way Saint Paul did in his life, and also as interpreted by him under the gaze of our Mother Mary, queen of the apostles. So, in our spiritual formation, if we are happy people, if you are smiling, initially I told you to smile. And, when we smile, we are really happy people. In this sense, our Pope Francis will tell us, joy, the beauty is the beauty of consecration. The joy of bringing God to the self and the others. So, our Pope says, there is no holiness in sadness. If we are going with big faces and things like that, Remember, there is no holiness there. We are always serious. We are always, sad. We are all depressed, disappointed, and blah, blah, all those kind of things. Remember, there is no life. So joy, first and foremost, is the beauty of consecration according to our Pope. And he goes on to tell us our calling. Our calling is, in calling us, God says to us, you are important to me. I love you and I am counting on you. See the beauty. When Jesus called me, he's telling me, Johnson, you are important to me. I love you and I am counting on you. See, what a privilege, what a uniqueness with which he has given me this mandate. He made me his own, first and foremost. He bore me in his womb and in time sent me out to this earth to be his child, And being in that status, we are called to live and give him. And so, what did Jesus do for us? He found us, he touched us, he transformed us. This is, my dear sisters and brothers, always keep in your mind, when you have a problem in your vocation, when you question your vocation, when you question certain realities in life, always remind yourself that Jesus has found you, touched you, and transformed you. You're not an accident. You are a very unique person, called for a unique mission, called to accomplish God's own work, not somebody's work, God's own work. You are an extension. You are the representative. You are the delegate of God here on earth. You are the hands and legs and feet and whatever that you are of Jesus here on earth. And all these, my dear friends, why do we do all these things? To get crown of life. We are going to be crowned with life. You can check those references referred in James 1:12 and Revelation 2:20, bestowed upon those who persevere under trials. The crown of life. Then you have the incorruptible crown or imperishable crown, as Paul mentions in Corinthians 9:25. It is therefore given to those individuals who demonstrate self-denial and perseverance. So it's very clear to gain these crowns. There are more crowns. Crown of righteousness. 2 Timothy 4:8. Crown of glory. 1 Peter 5:4. Then crown of rejoicing. So all these crowns are given to us if we ultimately persevere in our formation and in our Pauline life. So, mind you, you are the only Bible some people will read. You are the only Jesus some people will see. Always keep this in your mind. And if you keep alive this in your mind, my dear sisters and brothers, you will be with me in paradise. That's the words, Jesus, not mine. So we shall be with Jesus because we have truly accomplished what we are called to accomplish. So these are some of the questions for you to reflect further. And you can discuss in your group or discuss with your in charges and really, grow deeper into this. Okay, so there are 7 questions which you want to reflect and realize where you are, how you are doing as a Pauline novice, and how you can improve, how you can realize further, and how you can recommit yourself, rededicate yourself, having really understood the purpose of Pauline call and mission in your life.